Okay, here we go. Okay, so what we're going to do here, guys, we're just going to go through some basic art skills. I mean, really basic. Mostly just exercises just to get your hand and eyes in the habit of working with art. So you can follow along. It's awfully dark today, unfortunately, because of the rain. So you can follow along as best as possible. And I'm just checking to make sure here that we are live. Yeah, so like I said, there's a little bit of a delay, but it's fine. You'll be fine. I'll be explaining it as I do it, and then you can see it as it pops up on the screen. So first thing we're going to do is practice, just very simple. And again, for some of you, I know that this is just routine, but for those of you who have never done any drawing before, these are good exercises to practice. These are things that you can do in your sketchbook, things that you can do in the margins of your notebooks or whatever, as long as it's not something you're handing in. So the first thing I like to do is start drawing lines. When you draw lines, what you want to do is you want to lock your wrist, okay? So like this. So you don't want to do it like this, not for this exercise. We'll get to that later. But just lock your wrist and then just pull the pencil towards you, okay? And so just try and draw a few lines as straight as you possibly can. And if they're not perfect, don't worry. This is just practice. And so once again, you're just pulling that pencil towards you and you're trying not to move the wrist at all or as little as possible. This will help get you that nice streamlined look. And I'm sorry, that is really blurry. I'm going to try and see if I can clear that up. Well, if you're pulling it towards you, it's probably easiest to do it from the top. But yeah, you can do it anywhere because this is just practice. Goodness, that's blurry. Well, I'll see if I can clear it up on another day, but for now, that's fine because we are just doing practice. I'll try and draw a little darker. When you're drawing, you don't have to draw as dark as I am. I'm going to be pressing a little bit hard on the pencil. When we start doing sketching, I'm going to have to show you that as well. But for now, that is your first exercise. That is something you can practice on your own as well. The next exercise is a little similar, but what you're going to do is I just want you to create these lines that have just a little curve to them. Okay, it doesn't have to be anything fancy. You'll see what I mean here. So you see, I'm just kind of making a line with a little curve on it. And then what I'm going to do is draw another line right next to it, as close as I can get, and just try to follow that little pattern that I've created. And it doesn't have to look exactly like mine. And you'll see the one I just did, I really deviated away from it. This one, I just overlapped it a little bit. But I'm going to keep doing it. I'm going to do about, I don't know, 9 of these, 10 of these. I don't know. I'm not even counting. But this is just another good little practice just to kind of get your hand and eye ready for doing different types of drawing. So again, I can just say do 10 of those, do 10 of these. Okay, next little exercise. I'm just going to put some random dots in the corner of my paper here. And again, you can put it wherever you want. We're just doing practice. Some will be close, some will be far. Just these little random dots, just like that. Yeah, pretty simple. And then all I'm going to do is just draw lines as straight as I can to the lines that I've created. And you can close these things up and join them wherever you want. That line wasn't very straight, so I'll work on that next. So just draw as many little dots as you want, and then just join the dots wherever you can. Okay. Easy peasy. Next thing I want you to do, please. Can you fix your mask there? Thank you. Next thing I want you to do is practice drawing circles. Now, here's the thing. Drawing circles is hard. That's why I suggested you get yourself a circle stencil, because drawing circles is hard. It's almost impossible to draw a perfect circle freehand. There's an interesting story where in Italy, ancient Italy, during the Renaissance, not ancient Italy, but during the Renaissance, the Pope was looking for artists to work on his next project. And so he sent his messengers all over, and they went to this very famous artist by the name of Giotto. And Giotto was busy at the time, and he said, well, I don't have anything to send to the Pope. So the guy said, well, can't you just give me something I can send to the Pope so he can see your work? And so Giotto took a piece of paper out and drew a perfect circle and handed it to the man. And he got the job because, like I said, it's almost impossible to draw a perfect circle. However, drawing circles is really good practice. I knew one art teacher, I never took this class, thankfully. For the first week, she would have her students practice drawing circles, drawing thousands and thousands and thousands of circles, big circles, small circles, fat circles, skinny circles, circles everywhere. I'm not going to expect you guys to do that. Was someone at the door? Or? Sorry, just my imagination. So I want you to try drawing circles. Now again, when you draw the circle, lock your wrist and make your arm do the motion to draw the circle. Okay? Don't do it like this, because that's more of a sketch, but try and lock your arm and get as close to the lead as you can. If you can see my hand, you can see the way I've got it. And just try and draw circles. As many circles as you can. Little circles, tiny circles. It's a little easier to make a perfect circle when you're doing a tiny circle, but... And again, I'm drawing a little bit darker than I would normally draw. And then you can now overlap the circles if you want. Because again, we're just practicing here. Just basic shapes. Okay, so I'm going to flip my page. I don't know if you filled up your page or not. That's fine. Okay, next exercise. We're not away from circles yet. And I know I'm going through these exercises quickly, but I'm going to give you time to just do them later on. Next exercise I'd like you to work on is drawing squares. And I want you to draw them freehand. And again, try and lock that wrist. That's an awful square. That one's not too bad, but draw for me some squares. Now, here's the tricky part. And if you do not do this perfectly, don't worry. But here's a really good practice. Practice drawing a circle in the square. Now, ideally, what you want to see, and I didn't quite do it here, is you want to see the circle touch on each side where I've pointed here. You want to see the circle touch the square at 4 different points along the walls. So it's not perfect, but I'm going to try again. I missed again here, but then this is an awful square, but I might be able to make this work. But yeah, try drawing your circles inside the squares and seeing if you can get it to touch equal sides on each part of the square. If you're not, don't worry. This is good practice. But try and do that as best you can. And so again, this is a really good sort of warm-up exercise If you're sitting over your sketchbook, ma'am, could you fix your mask again, please? Thank you. If you're sitting over a sketchbook, or if you're having, I don't know, some drawer's block or whatever, and you're not sure what to draw, start drawing circles. Circles are often the basis for a lot of the stuff that we end up drawing. So circles, and then if you want to get a little tricky, start drawing squares, and then start drawing the circles within squares. Okay, you probably know which shape's coming up next, but next I'd like you to try and draw a perfect triangle. Once again, it's a little tricky to do this freehand, but I want you to do it without using a ruler as much as possible. And it doesn't all have to be pyramid-like. You can also invert it. You can also put it on its side. That one kind of ended up being more of an isosceles than an equilateral, but that's okay. Again, just drawing triangles. Just draw a couple of triangles in as many positions as you can. Up, down, sideways, left, right. Okay, moving on. So this one's a little tricky. This is more of an advanced exercise. Still want you to try it though. What we're going to do is we're going to take our squares, and what I want you to do is give them a little bit of depth by picking a point here. And what I want you to do is imagine that when I draw this line here, you should be able to see that. Just a moment. Why is that thing over top of it too? Okay, sorry guys, I'm going to have to get a much better camera, I think. Or use a better app, perhaps. Okay, so what I did is I created a point over here, and then I had my square kind of going in that way. And so what I'm doing is I'm actually creating a square that looks like has depth, like it's going off towards that one point. This is practicing perspective a little bit. And if you've ever done this before, you know what I'm doing. And if you've never done this before, this is a neat little illusion that we can create to make it look like an object is going off into the distance. So what you'll see, and I'm not going to, it's almost like drawing a triangle, actually. Except these lines that I'm drawing very lightly, you won't see. But all of these angles are going towards that point that I created in the center. And I did draw them a little bit, so you can see them a little bit. Just lower the camera a bit here. Just so you can see them a little bit, but the idea is creating this impression that these are actually going into the distance. Okay, see what I mean? So these lighter lines here, I wouldn't normally draw those. I'm just drawing them for you now so that you can see. So I want you to do a few like that. And if I'm going too quick, please just let me know. But like I said, for now, we're just practicing. So these are just exercises designed to help you improve your art, to warm you up, or if you've never done art before, these are some just really, really simple lessons that you can hold on to that will make you better, I promise. Okay, now that you've done that, now I want you to get even trickier here. And I want you to try to draw a circle. Oh, that one I didn't do too well. That one overlapped a bit. But I want you to try drawing circles within the squares that you've created. Now you're going to notice your circle is going to kind of take on a different shape a little bit because it's also trying to go into these squares and go into the distance. So this one here I didn't do so well. I overlapped. But now I want you to try doing that. And this is tricky. So if you're not doing it well, I don't want you to worry. This is tricky to do. Even I didn't do it that great. But that's okay, because like I said, this is practice. You're allowed to mess up during practice. Okay. Then the last thing that we're going to work on just for today, and this is all stuff that you can do, is I want you to practice just drawing your basic shapes. And then here's where we're going to try and do something just a little bit interesting. I want you to try drawing your basic shapes and then trying to create a little slice out of your shape. So we're trying to create some 3 dimensions here. So I'm going to draw a little slice here. No, that's not what I want to do. Never mind. I'll do that one next time. I kind of forget how to do that. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a shape. So let's say in this case I'm doing a rectangle. I'm going to take a slice out of this rectangle here, like this, and then I'm going to create another little shape like this. And I'm creating a bit of a 3-dimension in this shape here, and it's really blurry, so I hope you can see what I'm doing. So you can see here I've taken a little slice out of that rectangle and created just another little shape to go along with it. If that's too much, because I realize I messed it up when I was trying to do it with the circle as well, what I want you to do then is draw your basic shape and then add this other shape that we did so that you're creating your shapes in sort of a 3 dimensions. So you'll see what I mean here. So I draw the square first, then I draw that square going into the distance. And so you see what I'm doing is I'm creating my shapes to look a little more 3-dimensional. I can do this with the rectangle or the triangle as well. So the triangle, I just need to add a little bit here, and now suddenly it's a wedge of cheese, or it's a tent, or it's something like that. And I messed up the circle. I'll show you guys how to do the circle again. I just have to practice it a bit more. So just do stuff like that. Create your shapes and make them 3-dimensional. And it's easy to do with the triangles. It's easy to do with the rectangles and different things, but you can also do it with the circle. I'll just show you how to make a tube. Very simple. So you start with the circle, then you're going to draw another circle behind it, and in the circle behind it can be the same size or it can be a bit smaller. It depends on how long you want your tube. I'm going to create the lines to go along the bottom here. I'm going to just darken this part, darken this part, and then I can just erase the little bit of the circle behind, and you get like a little can, or in this, I was trying to make a tube, but this is like a little tuna can or something like that. You can see how that turned out. And you can do this with a lot of shapes. Last year, somebody asked how to do a heart, and I said, oh, I've never done a heart before. And this, of course, we know isn't really a heart. This is just an artistic expression of a heart. But I can just do the same thing. I'm going to draw another heart behind it. And I'm going to just draw this part lightly because I'm going to erase it. And just add these shapes here. And then I can just erase the stuff that we would only see. And we get something kind of like this. Yeah, I messed that one up too. Oh, well. You get the idea, though. So it looks kind of like a tube. And I'm doing this from the top as well. You can do this from the side. You can do this from different angles. Right now, I just want you to practice and play with shapes. And if you get bored making the shapes 3-dimensional, I want you to start combining shapes. Take a circle and a rectangle and combine them together. Take a rectangle and a triangle and combine them together. And just start combining them and working them into each other. And then you can kind of see, okay, if I'm going to do a circle here, maybe I can make this circle a part of this triangle or this rectangle like this, and it kind of comes out like this instead. Maybe you can't see that. Again, I'm really sorry, guys. This is really blurry. I will have this much better the next time we do a lesson. So you can see here, I just took the rectangle and I squeezed the circle right in the center of it. Again, this is just basic shapes. It's just having you look at shapes. How can things work together? How can they combine? How can they join? Maybe I'll put a square behind here and then see what that turns into. Kind of looking like a rocket ship now. Who knows? Whatever. I'm just messing. And that's all you need to do right now today too, is just do some messing. So, I'm going to turn this off. I'll turn the lights back on. Okay, and so I gave you a lot of different little things that you can work on. I'd like you to continue practicing for the rest of the period. Obviously, this isn't something you need to hand in. I hope you don't mind. I'm going to just kind of sneak around and look over your shoulders a little bit, see how you're doing. But basically, all we're doing today is just practicing. Just work on doing simple shapes, simple design. This is the principles of art that we're working on right now. Every single time you go to draw something, you're always going to look at its basic shapes. So when you approach something and you're really not sure how to draw, and I still do this, guys. I said I wasn't going to use the chalkboard, but I just don't feel like setting my camera up again. But anytime you want to draw anything, you approach it by its basic shapes. You don't need to do this, but I don't know. Can somebody give me a suggestion on something to draw? What's something to draw? Anything. First thing that pops in your head.
Square.
A square? Other than a square, like something to actually, like, because we practice drawing squares, but yes.
Cat.
A cat. Okay, so if I'm looking at a cat, and I don't know how to draw a cat. Now I'm going to draw a cartoon cat just because it's easy. Everybody can do this. We'll get into drawing a little more realistic stuff later. But if I'm looking at a cat, okay, so the basic shape of the cat's head is going to be circular. Now it's obviously not perfectly circular when you're looking at a head, but you're basically starting off with that basic shape. Okay, so then I'm looking at a cat and I'm like, okay, what are its ears going to look like? Well, again, actually I'm trying to draw it too nice. I'll draw it simple for now. Again, a cat's ears, triangles. Okay? Everybody with me so far? Everybody can draw this. I mean, well, he's 12 now, but I remember when my son was young and he was drawing and he would draw a person and he would do something like this. Like everybody can draw this. You know, something like that. Like that's, we look at that and we go, okay, well, it's not exactly anatomically correct or anything, but that's a person. We recognize that. What is this? Anyone? What's this? Yes, sir.
A circle with dots in it.
A circle with dots and a little curve. You're very correct. Most people would say that's a happy face, but it's not a happy face. This is a happy face. Well, this is a happy face. That's just a circle with two dots and a little curve. So, good answer. But this is what I'm talking about. When we design basic shape, or when we're looking at something, we look at the basic shapes. So now I can get a little bit more creative with this. Let's say I wanted to do the cat's nose. Again, I'm drawing it too nice. I'm going to just do like a little, not quite a square, not quite a rectangle, but kind of like, I'll do that in the center. And then, you know what? I'm going to cheat a little bit. And I'm going to use ovals for eyes. And then another oval inside. And I mean, you could do that. That's not too hard. And then if I really wanted to get kind of creative, I could kind of do like where the cat has the snout almost here. Kind of looking too much like a dog, but that's okay. So again, I'm just drawing two ovals, and then I can draw 3 lines. And that's a cat. It's not a great cat, I'll admit. But anybody looking at this would say, yeah, that's a cat. Okay? And sure, I could do a whole lot of other things. And now, did you mean the cat's face or did you mean the cat's body?
Body too.
Okay, the body would be a bit different. Because I got the cat looking this way, the body I can just kind of do maybe as just a basic oval. And then if I really want to get technical, there would be another circle back here. Because if you look at the construction of the cat, this cat's got a bit of a belly, that's okay. If you look at the construction of the cat, the legs are actually going to come backwards. Like this kind of. So I'm getting too advanced. Let's keep it simple. Sorry. So I got a circle here, and then I got kind of a circle here. And again, this is just the rough draft. This is the rough outline. I can take this away later, but you're kind of getting a bit more of a curve here. And then I'm just going to draw a very basic paw. And again here. Sorry, doing it again. Sorry guys, sometimes I get so excited. I'm not really teaching you the basics. I start getting into doing advanced stuff, but that's okay. And then of course, make a nice little curvy tail. And we understand what that is. It's a very basic shape. So practice playing with shapes. And if you want to draw some stuff like this, great, do it. Right now, my cat's very cartoony. When we get started, that's what we're going to first start doing. I'm going to do some cartooning with you guys, because cartooning is a great way to learn basic shapes, basic design, and you don't get caught up with how realistic it looks, okay? This does not look completely realistic. I get that. But it's fun, and everybody knows what it is, and and some people are kind of like, well, how do I do this? How do I do that? And it's just keeping it simple for now. So that's what I want you working on right now. I just need to step out for a minute to fill up my water bottle, so please continue drawing, and if you have any questions, I'll be right